want to do a real quick video just analyzing a battle report because there's various aspects to these battle reports that can give you some information. But sometimes we can also make false assumptions just based on one little piece of data. I do that all the time and then I'm like, I have to backtrack. I can't even begin to tell you how many videos I started making, only to stop and say, oops, you're interpreting that wrong and have to re-record. So I wanted to show this. This happened early on when we arrived in the kingdom. The date is a week ago, and that would have been probably 2 days after we arrived, because we arrived within 15 hours, I believe, of the kingdom opening, maybe even a few hours. I'm trying to remember exactly the time frame. I was a little bit late for the announcement of when it opened because I was distracted. Um, and I wasn't just watching the clock because these kingdoms open kind of at a random rate. You kind of have to guess at when they open when you're jumping. So I saw one of the cities receiving a lot of resources all of a sudden, and I pointed that out in another video that when you're attacked by a legendary or a big name commander, because I don't think this was a legendary. I don't think Sun Tzu is a legendary. Let me check real quick because it was Sun Tzu that's in the TAC, and I will show you in a moment um, the actual battle report. But do I have Sun Tzu in here? I do not. I don't have him in this account. I have him in most of my accounts, but I don't in this. I thought he was an epic because he's the first one you get with when you choose China civilization. But I saw him getting an awful lot of caravans all at once, which means he had what is considered a major attack. Now it was 2 days into the game, so the major attack may have been just because it was 2 days into the game, because the numbers aren't that high, but they're probably the highest he was able to be at the time. So let's look at this battle report, and it's an attack probably on gathering. If we take a look at, well, at the time we would have been able to take a look at the location much better, but we'll take a look at the location. So it was down here in this area, so I must have been down here in that area at the time before I um, came up to join the alliance up ahead. That must have been the area where I landed when I jumped, and then I would have joined my alliance later by teleporting. And so it must have been where there was some kind of crop field, otherwise I would not have sent the message I did. It was definitely not his city because his city was right here. And he was attacked by this guy whose city was right here. Now, I'm going ahead and sharing this because there's no negative on either of these people. I just simply saw the caravans going, asked to see the battle report to help him out if there was an actual serious attack. Well, what happened is when you're new, you end up having your first commander be the one that's always being recommended to go out to battle barbarians or to um, even sometimes to even gather, because it's the strongest commander because you haven't developed any of your commanders and you haven't focused any of your talents, say, on peacekeeping. Once you start focusing your talents on peacekeeping, as soon as you have a peacekeeping commander who's best for peacekeeping, they'll start being the one that's recommended to go out. But until that happens, whatever is the strongest commander, and it's almost always the commander, well, it is always, because your first commander is your epic that's assigned to that civilization, and then the second is always markswoman. And until you create markswoman as an actual peacekeeper, she'll never be the first one to be recommended to go after forts or after barbarians. And like I've recommended in other videos, unless your commander that is assigned to your civilization, your first commander is a peacekeeper, I would develop markswoman up to a 3-star just to get her taking out other commanders to build up the XP for 2 commanders instead of 1. I don't think it'll be a popular recommendation, but it works for me and I like it. So evidently he had this person out. It may have been at a cropland. It may have been hunting barbarians. I do not know because we can't check the fog and we weren't around. And would have had to check the fog at the time this happened. But he had his Sun Tzu, who was only a level 14 at the time, out. And this is probably the maximum number of troops he could carry, the 18,000, because it is only a level 14. And then this guy comes along and he's a level 20 sensu. So both of these probably chose China as their first civilization because they both got sensu and they both started developing sensu. Because, like I said, this is early in the game. Now, he probably jumped with me, so at this time he was probably still a level 7 or very close to a level 7. I don't know his story, but he may have been a higher level since his sensu is already a 20, but maybe not. He may have been focusing on going out, getting all that XP, putting it all on sensu, because a lot of people on YouTube tend to say, just create your really, really strong commander and just develop them as high as you can, 5-star, all their skills maxed out. Well, that's their way of doing it, and some people follow it. So maybe that's what he was doing, and his sensu was higher. I don't know at this time. I can't check their cities at this time, and I couldn't check them at that time because it's a week ago. And this is just for interpreting battle reports. But he was able to get his up to a 3-star because a level 20 you are at 3-star sometimes. It depends on how your application of the statues goes. And usually you have to get to 30 in order to have 3 stars, but sometimes you make it at level 20, which is awesome when it happens. And Markswoman was able to go out with him, so he had more strength by having a secondary whose skills could be applied as well. So if her rage was up, boy, this was a strong team. And he was able to take out 21,000. That was probably the maximum number of troops he could do because it's an even number. It could be, and this is why I'm bringing this up. A lot of times people see these battle reports and say, hey, why'd you attack me? Another possibility is that they both went to the same gathering location and one arrived later than the other. So it could be that this was not an intentional attack. With these number of troops, it's hard to say. Now, if this sensu was carrying, say, 80,000 troops and this one was at 18, I would think that this was sent out to gather and this one was sent out to attack. Because you don't need 80,000 troops to gather at this point in the game or early on in the game. And so this is kind of where you're kind of playing with the numbers to take a look at this. And since you're not there when it happens, you can't just make assumptions. So you got to start thinking possibilities. The way the game works, they decide what priorities would work best based on their numbers, but you got to play with what works best for you. If I'm going out to gather, I would prefer to send a gathering commander. Now I say the word prefer here. If there's a chance I'm going to be attacked, I'm going to probably send a commander out, and if I see something's about to happen, I may send a commander out that when they attack, it does some damage. I've started developing my Seondeok in order to have more attack rather than gathering, because Seondeok is thought of probably as a gatherer at this point in the game, and since there are some alliances in this kingdom who are bent on suppressing all the small guys and going after them, I just want to teach some lessons here and there. So if I can ping them by sending out an attacker to gather when they're coming to attack gatherers, I'm going to do it, because then I can do more analysis too. It'll make for some fun videos, I hope. But here, at this point in the game, I don't see this as an aggressive attack on anyone. I see it as they both sent out what was recommended. They may have gone both together, which is likely what happened, because if it was hunting barbarians, they would have both gone after the barbarian, and there would not have been this attack. So either it was intentional or it was just going after crops. The person just sent the battle report. I didn't do any follow up at the time. It's likely because I was getting caught up in the drama by then. But at the same time, I don't think I would have done anything. I would have just interpreted it with him. And again, this is no reflection of any negativity on either of these players. At this point, I don't know how they're playing. I'm not going to worry about it. But also just oh, no battle logs. They've already deleted this, so all is available is what I can click on my chat. So if the battle report was available still, like if you hadn't deleted it, I would have been able to see the battle log. So please don't delete your battle reports if they may end up being necessary. I know I've said that before. But I just wanted to let you know, look at the battle reports, try to analyze based on which commander is being used and what stage you are in the game too. Like I said, this is very beginning stage, so there are a lot of aggressive players in the very beginning who are attack, 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 and it's because they think that's how the game is played. And some of them, it's because they want to be the bullies, but some of them, they just think it's a war game. We just attack everyone. That's not how war works. So hopefully, we start teaching those lessons of what is your motivation and try to figure out what is the motivation of the other player as well. And here, I don't see any malicious motivation on either side. So this is just trying to raise the bar level of think things through and don't just make rash judgments. And if I make rash judgments, point them out to me. You know how to find me if you're in the game. Okay, signing out.